enviously at her own bouquet. Suddenly she felt that the violets betrayed her, that any one who looked at them could see how rustic, how innocent of any florist's craft they were. "I can't eat dead violets," Walter said. The little wild flowers, dying indeed in the warm air, were drooping in a forlorn mass, and it seemed to her that whoever noticed them would guess that she had picked them herself. She decided to get rid of them. Walter was becoming restive. "Look here," he said, "can't you flag one of these long-tailed birds to take you on for the next dance? You came to have a good time. Why don't you get busy and have it? I want to get out and smoke." "You mustn't leave me, Walter," she whispered hastily. "Someone'll come for me before long, but until they do—" "Well, couldn't you sit somewhere?" No, there isn't anyone I could sit with." "Well, why not? Look at those old dames in the corners. What's the matter with your tying up with some of them for a while?" "Please, Walter, no." In fact, that indomitable smile of hers was the more difficult to maintain because of these very elders to whom Walter referred. They were mothers of girls among the dancers, and they were there to fend and contrive for their offspring, to keep them in countenance through any trial, to lend them diplomacy in the carrying out of all enterprises, to be background for them, and in these essentially biological functionings to imitate their own matings and renew the excitement of their nuptial periods. Older men, husbands of these ladies and fathers of eligible girls, were also to be seen, most of them with Mr. Palmer in a billiard-room across the corridor. Mr. and Mrs. Adams had not been invited. "Of course Papa and Mama just barely know Mildred Palmer," Alice thought, "and most of the other girls' fathers and mothers are old friends of Mr. and Mrs. Palmer, but I do think she might have asked Papa and Mama anyway. She needn't have been afraid just to ask them. She knew they couldn't come." And her smiling lip twitched a little threateningly as she concluded the silent monologue. "I suppose she thinks I ought to be glad enough she asked Walter." Walter was, in fact, rather noticeable. He was not Mildred's only guest to wear a short coat and to appear without gloves, but he was singular, at least in his present surroundings, on account of a kind of coiffuring he favoured, his hair having been shaped after what seemed a Mongol inspiration. Only upon the top of the head was actual hair perceived, the rest appearing to be nudity. And even more than by any difference in mode, he was set apart by his look and manner, in which there seemed to be a brooding, secretive, and jeering superiority, and this was most vividly expressed when he felt called upon for his loud, short, lopsided laugh. Whenever he uttered it, Alice laughed too, as loudly as she could, to cover it. "Well," he said, "how long we going to stand here? My feet are sprouting roots." Alice took his arm, and they began to walk aimlessly through the rooms, though she tried to look as if they had a definite destination, keeping her eyes eager and her lips parted. People had called jovially to them from the distance, she meant to imply, and they were going to join these merry friends. She was still upon this ghostly errand when a furious outbreak of drums and saxophones sounded a prelude for the second dance. Walter danced with her again, but he gave her a warning. "I don't want to leave you high and dry," he told her, "but I can't stand it. I got to get somewhere I don't have to hurt my eyes with these berries. I'll go blind if I look any more at them. I'm going out to smoke as soon as the music begins the next time, and you better get fixed for it." Alice tried to get fixed for it. As they danced, she nodded sunnily to every man whose eye she caught, smiled her smile with the under lip caught between her teeth, but it was not until the end of the intermission after the dance that she saw help coming. Across the room sat the globular lady she had encountered that morning, and beside the globular lady sat a round-headed, round-bodied girl, her daughter at first glance. The family contour was also as evident a characteristic of the short young man who stood in front of Mrs. Dowling, engaged with her in a discussion which was not without evidences of an earnestness almost impassioned. Like Walter, he was declining to dance a third time with his sister. He wished to go elsewhere. Alice, from a sidelong eye, watched the controversy. She saw the globular young man glance toward her over his shoulder, whereupon Mrs. Dowling, following this glance, gave Alice a look of open fury, became much more vehement in the argument, and even struck her knee with a round, fat fist for emphasis. "I'm on my way," said Walter. "There's the music starting up again, and I told you—" She nodded gratefully. "It's all right, but come back before long, Walter." The globular young man, red with annoyance, had torn himself from his family and was hastening across the room to her. "Can I have this dance?" "Why, you nice Frank Dowling!" Alice cried. "How lovely!" End of Chapter 6.